YouTube.
Inside joke.
Okay. We did a deck breakdown of the deck I took to French trios. We didn't win, sadly.
No, we didn't, but
let's do deck breakdown anyway.
We'll talk about that another time.
Starting off, we used Deity Ceiling Kid So Dude. Basically, for later on, it's a big reason why, but it's 6k, can only boost a Vanguard. Then there's 8 crit for draw, because you need draw triggers, because the deck doesn't draw really, and it adds options. And the 8 crit is because basically at the end of the game it's going to be crit for game.
Because of your main Vanguard.
Yeah, because of Descendant, which you pretty much should run in an Eradicator deck, even at 1. The other option for Star is basically Linchu, which everyone else will pretty much be running, because it's just a really good card. Count +1, put it into Soul, retire your opponent's grade 1 or less, so...
It's a very good anti-meta card against certain decks.
you should be very careful what you use it against at the end of the day.
But it does pretty much get rid of most people's starters, which they use crucially.
But what we tend to find is that it's only good against those certain few decks, like Link Joker.
Well, in the current meta, I think you'll find that it's very, very good. Because you've got the Link Joker one, you've got the Revenger one, you've got the Peril Moon one, you've got the
Well, no, because people don't use the Pale Moon Star.
People don't use the Pale Moon Star.
But again,
The Silver Form one, anyway.
we've figured out that the majority of the decks which we would probably come against, it's not good against. But it's those odd 1 or 2 which it is good against, so that's why everyone uses it, just in case they come across it. And if you want more draw power, you can of course run more draw triggers, but it has to be Eradicator because
So that's the only one that's viable, really.
So it's the whole trial deck one of Dragon Mage. And onto the grade 1s, we are running the standard of 4 Perfect Guard. Then there is 3 Shuki,
4 Shuki,
4 Shuki, I can't see, 3 Demolition Dragon, and 3 Hissen, the Descendant booster. Basically, Shuki works well with one of the grade 3s coming in the deck, and that's pretty much why it's there, because it can make really good columns. Demolition Dragon, 10k swinger, it's just self-explanatory, it's just early game pressure, can be used for anything behind it, to hit 16s basically. And the Descendant booster is because if you've got 2 Descendants in hand, one can be on rear guard, it's a 21 column.
You just don't want to find more than one is the idea, and the 10k swing is just for the hell of it, because you might as well be that.
There's not really any other options.
But if you think...
what I mean is it's a flexible card, it allows you to do that rush.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use something else, you've only got it as a 7k, it can't hit 10.
And again with the Heathen booster, it's if your Vanguard is doing the whole, it's crit for game, swing, you get draw triggers, then you've got a 21 column to dump them on, and they may not realise. Alternatives, which we have used and played around with in the past, is Rising Phoenix.
So pro.
Which is Soul Blast 2, draw a card. Downside is, it's not Eradicator, so it can...
Bloody times. One card in hand, drive check.
Very
Phoenix.
rare that it happened, but when it did happen, God, it cost you the game.
But it's a nice 5k boost, so it's usually to replace Linchu when people use it, and then they Soul Blast 2, get a card.
So that's only if you use the other starter.
It's such a focus on this Descendant deck, though.
You can also use, which I've seen a lot of people use, is Caster, the ditch and draw. If you have if your opponent has 2 or less rear guards.
Issue with that would be it's only useful early
game. It's early game to manipulate your hand. Potentially late game if they have no field. Potentially, almost, probably not. But it is a 7k, which helps against.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
Just the sense of the 10k swinger.
And something Mike suggested, but I always shot down, was using Lightning of Hope Helen, which is the MO if it hits ditch and draw. But it's not Eradicator, so you can't use it really too well. But I don't like it.
Well, simply because if you in a deck, if a deck that can't have draw power in it, then at least you need some core hand manipulations. That's why I tried it, and it was a nice threatening thing where you got like, oh, I've got a rubbish hand.
I don't see that.
Or you're trying to find that Descendant that you're running at a lower number. it's just either draw power or hand manipulation. If you can tick one box, fair enough. If you tick two, that's fantastic. But the deck can't really draw at the moment unless you run certain cards, which we don't.
We do.
Yes, you do.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes. I freaking built it. Just kidding. Anything else, Yuri?
That's it for grade ones, I think.
Grade ones. And on to the grade twos. We run, let's work backwards this time. 3 10k beat, which is Thunder Boom Dragon. 4 12k Swinger, which is Spark Rain Dragon. And 4
Iron Fan.
Iron Fan Niri Tiri thing. Carrara Clone.
Yes.
And the Carrara Clone is beast. Because you basically have 2 to 4 unspent counterblast, depending on what you want to do in grade 3s. And it's a draw power the deck needed.
Yeah.
Also, because it's a draw, it's a card which can draw. Everyone will overguard it like there's no tomorrow. For some reason, that one extra card will change the game in the long haul, which it sometimes will, but mainly won't.
Just that extra, again,
But it forces the guard.
It's a 9k, might as well be that.
The 10k beat is because, like, the other options, viably, the other options are Hakashu. If something, basically the Shuki clone at grade 2, only because of the grade 3 options, or Zuiton, but if you're counterblasting mainly for Descendant and your starter doesn't counterblast, you're not going to be doing anything, and you don't really want to build up your soul, because again, you're not soldier blasting either.
So that card basically was one of the focuses of our old version, where you still had Linchu and you still had Phoenix in, so you're building up your soul.
You could even get away with a Descendant booster, and you can focus with the Yuri's biggest fan.
Biggest fan, the Iron Fan. But yeah, just the Cryo Clone was so vital for the deck. Too many people either overguarded it, or it just gave you that +1, which just turned out to be, oh, hang on, this is what I needed, or it opened up more options, and it's just a threat. People were scared of it, basically. And moving on to grade 3s, we have, of course, the 4 Dragon Descendant. It's not of course, but you know, you have to use the Descendant in Eradicator decks. And
the pro card!
I'm so pro!
The card which I have to give Mike credit for, this was his idea, is Sparkhorn Dragon.
Which was the promo from the Bermuda box!
Yeah. Which, I'll be honest, a fair few people looked at like, what on earth is that card? Oh wait. Its limit break skill is 5k, it gets 5k, but its pre-limit break skill is where it becomes really good.
Which is why... I'm just going to put that there. Oh, 16!
Yeah, it's basically why we never thought of it as viable, because of Linshu being 5k, 15's not hitting anything, you're sort of stuffed. But with the 6k, you're hitting 16s, and that's what you need to hit.
And a limit break?
Yeah.
And a limit break is 21. So you're just hitting the numbers.
So from grade 3 ride, you have an annoying threat that's a cheap cost of 1
It's counterblast 1 Eradicator, and your opponent chooses what they retire. But because it's the moment you ride grade 3 you can do this, they usually have like 2 cards on the field, you can niggle that other rear guard, and then they sort of have to force to get rid of their starter or their booster. And that also works well, which is why we used Shuki, because it can make the columns of, it's basically a 10k boost if you hit with your Vanguard first.
Yeah, we'll talk about more about that in a minute.
In terms of options.
But yeah, in terms of other options, you have the Break Ride,
which was our old focus of literally 4 Break Ride, 4 Descendant.
Because the way I originally saw it was, the only way to win with Eradicator is to Break Ride Descendant, or just to sit on Descendant, counterblast 4 and hope for the best.
Yep.
Which I did in one.
Which was good at the time, but...
Gauntlet Buster, but I see if you run Gauntlet Buster, you kind of have to run the Break Ride.
But
so
if you're also running Gauntlet Buster, you can't run the Carrara
Yeah, you can't run the Carrara Clone, so it changes your build entirely.
You have to run Cho and all those things.
Yeah, and the cards which combo with Gauntlet Buster and the Break Ride. But they are, I'm not saying they're not good cards, because they are, like, you can literally just go, I ride Gauntlet Buster, I'm on the back foot, just counterblast everything, retire, do you have a perfect card? It's that, it was that out card when their back's against the wall. But we built a deck, so we shouldn't be against the wall, basically. That's grade 3s. Now onto the combos, sort of how it played style area bit.
Here's our biggest pet.
Basically, you go. This is close to the ideal setup. Well, pretty much is the ideal setup. Where you're pushed to 4, your opponent is preferably on 4, and you have the option of a Descendant in hand. And then instead of going, I ride Descendant and hope crit for game, you can just go. You can just basically replace, then get 21s.
Or Incept and open up, yeah.
Or across the board. You could have Incept and open
Well,
up
that's
as well.
technically not 21.
Well, no, that's just 21 if it hits, so if they want to take it and then say crit for game. But if not, it forces guard and then hopefully ride Descendant later. But it's that just the 21, so you can jump triggers. The potential being 21 if it hits. So if they are on like 3
Or
or
double
something.
Shuki still works the same way.
Yeah, or double Shuki.
You say something that got screwed over by that once because they just thought, 10k, 10k.
Oh, yeah. No, I had the Carrara clone out, and that was it. And so I was like, okay, I think I had the 10. I think I had a niggle. They're on 9, so I was like, attack your Vanguard. And they're like, okay. They guarded it. It's like, sure. Then my Vanguard attacked, and they're like, no guard. Hit, counterblast 1, retired, and then my rear guard attacked, and because they're on 9, they thought it was a 10 guard. I was like, actually, I think you'll find that is 19. It's a 15 guard, and it forced the extra 5 out of their hand and off their field, which was awesome. But it's that threat. They weren't sure what to do. And once, after a while, yeah, it's just literally just make sure you got Eradicators, and just endgame was just, if I hadn't done the Carrara clone,
Because people have been guarding it like
because
crazy.
people guard it like there's no tomorrow, then you're like, if you're on 5, like I did this once with just, I'm on 5, counterblast 4, it's 21, swing with it, you're on 4, it's crit for game. Like, you just force that point.
Something we've got to...
Same with like counterblasting 2, and then saying 16, it's still that sort of...
Something we have to point out, though, is that you can only ride it when they're on 5. Until then, you're better off having the smart corn there.
Well, no.
Because even if it is crit for game, at least you still retire something.
No, I still... If you're in a situation where you have to push, you just ride it, and you force it to crit for game.
Well, the bottom line...
Whereas they could guard let one through.
Bottom line being the middle ground here is just holding it back for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Be it 5 damage, ideally, or 4 damage if you just need to win.
Yeah, it's knowing when to drop it and when to use it with the situation you've got. Also the board, like, it's the whole, is it better to ride it or maybe have that 21 column with the booster out? Like, just knowing when to put it where.
Just knowing the hand, doing the numbers.
Yeah,
The best.
like, is it better to use guard this way? Because if you have hit with Carrara a few times and you do only have the 1 up, then you're literally just going 11 and 16 or 16 and 11, hope for a trigger dump on it or something.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, maybe you are actually saying, hang on, that's 21. This is probably a better situation because that's 10 regardless. That's 15. Oh wait, that's 21. So that's a 20 guard for 2. And then you're in that situation of this is better. So it then forces that crit for game because my numbers are better across the board as opposed to just one Vanguard column you have to guard twice.
The only thing to go on that view is to just go on to disadvantages. So, riding Ascendant first, for example.
Which is why the Carrara clone's in there.
You see, that is a disadvantage if you're behind, but then that point, they sort of fear, because with Sparkhorn, they sort of don't mind taking the damage because they know if worse comes to worse, perfect guard stops things.
Yeah.
But with Descendant, they're like, do I want to take 4, but I want no my limit break. But then you've got Descendant, so I know next turn it's basically you're going to use my hand. It's just... It's a disadvantage.
Unless they want to risk it.
Yeah, unless I want to risk it. But there is that disadvantage of riding it because then you sort of lose threat, and then if Carrara hits, then it's like, well, maybe I don't have to counter
At
blast.
that point, you're
to put the
basically
pressure on.
relying on triggers, basically.
Yes.
Whereas at least with Sparkhorn, it is threat to do stuff.
Yeah.
So it might be worth re-riding sometimes.
There was one time I did re-ride because I didn't have counter blast. So I was just like, I'll just re-ride. I had no counter blast face up, and I'm hit 21. And that's what forced the game in the end because they couldn't guard the 21. There is another disadvantage of if you only have 2 counter blast face up by the time you ride grade 3, which is more threatening, the Sparkhorn or the Clone, and it's that choice you have to make. Do you want to draw the card and potentially help you out, or do you want to retire something?
It depends on the situation, I'd say.
Exactly.
It depends on the deck.
If they are still on grade 2 and you've got something like this, then do that, because that gets a boost so you can get the 15 guard attack off of it.
No, I was just saying that that's a disadvantage. It's forced that situation of you need to go logically with your hand as well, which is best to try and rely on. Because they're normally going to if they see the setup, they'll probably let the Vanguard hit because they know you're not going to draw a card.
Because if they did the rush, I'd have gone, okay, I retire, I can't blast to retire, and then swing 19 over your other rear card. You've not normally got your field.
Yeah, but if your hand is shockingly poor, you may want to draw that card. Yeah. And that's it. You may want to draw the card.
It's versatility in a deck that didn't have it before.
Exactly. Like the Coral Clone helped the deck so much. I genuinely don't see why more people don't use it.
Because people use Gauntlet and they see that that's a better usage in Counter Blast.
That's fair. Probably.
People.
Isn't it? Well, I don't know, because the fact is your opponent chooses. You have to push them to a point. Like, Gauntlet against a full field sort of feels a bit redundant, because they just go, I'll get rid of this crap card I don't want. Or this grade 3.
But it gets an extra crit, Iori.
Yeah, I know, but Gauntlet is the whole... It only gets 3k, so it's not breaking a barrier by itself. You have it for...
There's a Shuki behind it.
Or you've got a second behind it. But it just falls behind of a point of... It's no matter what you do with it, it can still just be stopped with a perfect card. And this was the Team Endgame Eradicator deck breakdown discussion thing. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow us.
You're such a pro with this, Iori.
And we'll do it again. Yeah!